Guy comes up from behind me. I didn't even see him. And he like taps me on the shoulder. You gotta wear a mask. And I was just like, you get that fight or flight.
I was like actually scared that like I might hit an older man. Grabs the $20 bill in the middle of the table, tears it in half, and throws one way and the other way. And he has this like dumb look on his face.
I remember I fought 3 people at once in Columbus. I punch him, and they're all 3 on the ground. And listen. And, okay, you did good so far, but you're about to get
Yeah,
right.
Get the hell out of
yes,
here.
they're all gonna get up, and I'm like, okay, it's time to get beatings. All right, gentlemen. So every morning I go on a hike with my dog. So we're hiking 7 days a week. Sometimes it's 6, but we'll call it 7. And there's a bunch of random parks I go to that I visit. Some are farther away, some are like 5 minutes away. It depends on what I have to do this every day. So this morning we had to film the podcast. So I'm not going to go to a park that's 25 minutes away, even though it might be better. So I go to the one that's 5-10 minutes away. And I've been going to this one for the past 3, 4, 5, 7 years. And over the past 7 months, I've always seen this guy and this woman that hike as well. Now we go super early because I like to hike with Molly off leash. And I'm like, well, I don't want her to interrupt anybody. And if I see people come close, I throw her on the leash real quick. She listens pretty much, I'd say 95% of the time. And I always see this guy coming as we're leaving because we start so early. And I always notice for the past 7 months that I've seen him, he's always kind of looking at me, just giving me a weird look as we're hiking back to the car through this big open field. And he always looks at me in a way where I'm like, I think he's mad about something. And he's an older gentleman.
How old?
He's definitely retired because he's going there every day.
Okay.
So it's like I'm retired, he's retired.
So
A couple of retired guys,
yeah, we'll figure he's
getting their morning
70
hiking. Yeah,
for the sake of-
Quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Fully Loaded Tobacco-Free Chew. Check out the description of this video or the show notes to get 20% off your next order. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So today he's probably, I'd say they're over half a football field away, probably even a little further, not quite a full football field. So they're really far away. And if I see anybody, like I said, I throw her on leash, even though she will listen to me. I say, Molly, stay close. And if she's a little bit ahead of me, she'll slow down and she'll walk right next to me. As I say, Molly, stay close. And she'll just stay. And this guy's, a little over half a football field away. And I hear him yelling, put that dog on the leash. Put that dog on. Like, he's so far away. And it made me think, oh my God, this guy's really pissed. I was pretending like I didn't hear anything. And because he was saying that, I was like, I am intentionally not going to put her on the leash at all.
Yeah, there's a reasonable way to like have that conversation too. And I'm pretty sure it's not screaming at somebody from a distance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And so I could always tell that I think he's mad about something, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's just watching us walk back to our car. But today, I think he's thinking, new year, new me. I'm going to yell at this guy. Like, it's time.
So what did you do?
Nothing. I just kept walking. But it makes me think, this guy has...
So was you're walking towards each other? Or is he
No,
behind you?
he's way over at an angle. Like I said, over half a football field away. So
But you guys weren't coming at each other. So
not even close.
There's no passing.
Not even close. And I was watching it because I was like, because they were coming this way, and I was going straight, and I was like, okay, we could intersect, but if we get too close, then I'll definitely throw her on leash. So he was so bothered that he went out of his way to be like, put that dog on a leash, even though I am not even near anybody.
That would have been great if you would have turned around and been like, Molly, let's go, and just started sprinting at him.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but here's the thing. When he started to say that and I realized what he was saying, the adrenaline started to get pump in me. Yeah. And I don't like that feeling because I'm like, you're going to do something very irrational.
Well, it's fight or flight. You know, like you're getting attacked in a way.
But he was going out of his way for... It's like, I'm not even bothering you, or so it's one of those things where, okay, yeah, we should have our dogs on a leash, but if we're not even close to anybody, am I really hurting you?
It's not in the spirit of the role.
Yeah, yes.
Did you feel like you were like almost wanting to fight him?
Yes, I was. Like I said, I felt the adrenaline start to pump in me and be like, I'll just beat the shit out of this guy. Obviously, that's not the right response.
That would be pretty slick if you
not what I would do.
Beat the shit out of an elderly man.
It would start verbally, and then I would beat the shit out of him.
You can get super pumped for several different ways. Because like when you told me the instance about that guy like yelling at you for not putting your mask on going to the gym, it's the same sort of thing. But I'll get pumped in a way like I just want to laugh at you.
Yeah,
like, you're so stupid.
That's usually how I tend to go. And that's a better in society.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there is that like.
Yeah, I've had
Yeah.
both happen before, but
Well, it takes
a
you
lot of
off
times
guard.
it's like, you're fucking serious, aren't you?
Yeah.
Wow, I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
you just want to make an ass of them.
Yeah.
Well, it
But,
catches you off guard. You know, you're not expecting, because it's one thing when you're like really bothering someone. It's another thing when someone else is trying to like instill their thought processes on you. And yet, like that instance, I'm walking to the gym, and the gym has this rule where you have to wear your mask like 145 feet from the door to the other door.
That gets you into the gym.
Yes.
Okay.
And I won't do it. I just won't.
Out of principle. I get it.
I'm not going to do it.
It
It's
is
nothing
silly.
against these people.
Just think about it. Like
It's insane.
Before you walk in the door, you don't need a mat, and then like these, once you go these 25 feet and you go through the other doors, you're actually in where the treadmills are and people are
And then-
sweating.
Yeah,
you don't
and they're
need your
breathing
mask,
heavy.
but just at 25 feet, you need your mask.
Yeah.
It's like
I
it's kind of
won't
like
do
in
it.
the day where you had to wear a mask into the restaurant, but then once you sat down,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
right.
what the.
I won't
planet?
do it. I can't do it. Like I can't.
I get it.
Somebody's got to say no. It's enough. I'm not doing
Yes,
things that
yes.
make no sense. But yeah, same idea. This guy comes up from behind me. I didn't even see him, and he like taps me on the shoulder. You got to wear a mask. And I was just like, you know, you get that
Yes,
fight or flight.
yes.
Like I like, get kind of like, and then I'm like, thank you, and just kind of walk away.
Yeah.
And he like follows me, and he starts talking to the people at the desk, telling me, you know, hey, give me his name. And I'm just like, oh my God, he keeps telling me I need to wear a mask. And I'm like, thank you, I heard you. And I just walked away. I went into the gym.
And yeah.
And I just like, but yet the other option is only like, get so angry that you hit the person.
Hit him or you
Or, like,
argue back.
right.
Verbally.
Right. And I don't think that wins. You know, like if you acted like you didn't hear him or something and walk right up to him like, I'm sorry, sir, what was that? Like, I don't think that's going to end well.
No. Was he an older guy or like younger? Or?
This was probably like a 50-year-old gentleman.
Okay.
I mean, it was just bizarre. I mean, it was bizarre. He worked there, you know, so. But it's the same idea where, and I'm sure you've had it too, where like you're caught off guard by these people because you're not sure, like, who does this?
It's
Like, who's so bothered by someone else's thing that really doesn't affect
that's not
you?
hurting anyone.
No, it doesn't affect you. So, like, if I see people doing wacky crap all the time, I just, okay, whatever.
Yeah, actually, I've already told Al the story, but it was the first time in like a little while I was like actually scared that like I might hit an older man. But it was at a family. It was at a family event, so I'm playing euchre. Me, my sister, my dad, and then my cousin. And we're sitting there, we're like, okay, Bridget doesn't play that often, so we're like, let's put some skin in the game. But at the end of the day, you're probably just like, who cares about the money? But we ended up losing. It was a 10-5 game. We were having a good time. And I'm like, all right, so we're doing $2 a point. So I'm like, so you win 10-5, so it's 5 times 2. You get $10. And I was like, Court, you don't need to pay. He's my cousin. So I'm just like, here's a $20 bill for my dad and my sister. And as a joke, obviously, I'm like, yeah, like I can't break that 20. You guys each get 10. I'm like, you can split it, tear it in half, whatever. And it's like, ah ha ha. I expected one of them to grab it. So this older gentleman in the corner, who's like kind of like dating my aunt now, he's like, I could tell he's a little glossy eyed. He's intoxicated.
Mm-hmm.
He comes up, doesn't really know us at all. He's met us maybe for like an hour of his life. Grabs the $20 bill in the middle of the table, tears it in half, and throws one way and the other way, and he has this like dumb look on his face, and like the thought, I was just like, what the hell is your problem? Why would you do that? Like, I didn't understand it, and it was just like and I was like, oh my god, and he wouldn't like give me a legitimate response. And then my uncle like came in and he was like, is it next yet? And I'm like, or somebody was like, yeah, they just lost. And my uncle's like, hey, you want to play? And he actually like had the nerve to be like, yeah, I'll play. I didn't know what to do. What would you have done in that? Because you're more crazy than me.
I
for
would.
sure.
Oh God, that's a good question.
like,
I want
damn.
to say my instant reaction would be like to push him, especially if he's not even responding when you're like, what are you doing?
That's what it was like. You're such in shock. It was like, oh my god. And then you realize, okay, we're just not on the same wavelength. Like, people
Yeah.
come from different cultures and like certain
He
things.
grew up in
Yeah, like
the United States.
yeah,
of
I know,
America.
but
weird
like
to tear
it's like,
someone's
okay,
money.
we're not on like the same like way of operating in like a social setting at all, because there's no way I would ever like have the nerve, or like even if I hated the people, like, and I had but he just met us, like he's known us for like an hour of his life, and to make that move.
That's even weirder.
I mean, whether or not it's money, whether or not it's anything, like if we were sitting there writing down like a list to invite to somebody's birthday party and like come up and rip anything to grab it, like it just was such a shock.
Out. I mean, there's just, it's not his. He's obviously like trying to fit in.
Yeah,
or
I
something.
was just like, oh my God.
He obviously has not a very good idea on how to do that.
Is he still around?
This was just this last week.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah,
what just happened?
Well, thank God you weren't 28. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like I was certainly way more aggressive when I was younger. I mean, those sorts of things. Like, I would be more aggressive. Like, if I was 25 and some dude like came up and ripped my money or tapped me on the shoulder to put a mask on for 10 feet of walking, I'd be like, I'd probably hit them or start screaming.
The weird part is I feel like we put ourselves, like, I was out there more, out and about. You know, when you're younger, you're going to bars and whatnot. I don't know if it was just because I didn't pay attention as much and I was unaware, or I was just more f***ed up, so it was just like it rolled off of me. I feel like now it's like I live a more conservative lifestyle. I'm not out and about, but I see so many odd things that like are like unfucking believable. I don't know if it's just like I forget because it's
it might
10,
be a
15 years.
society thing. I mean, there's
weird shit going on where I'm like, why would you do that? And it like fires me up. Like, I don't remember that ever happening before.
Well, there's also more cameras too, if you think about it. So it's easier to see those kinds of interactions because I had a lot of interactions, crazy interactions when I was younger because I was so hot-headed. I would fight people so easily. I remember I fought 3 people at once in Columbus when I went to visit my girlfriend. No, you guys definitely weren't there because I would drive down there by myself to go stay with her, and I fought 3 guys at once.
How'd that go?
It actually worked out very well, but it could have turned even worse.
Yeah, that's a fun weekend. Driving a couple
like,
hours.
Were you the
fight
protective
guys.
boyfriend coming down?
Yeah,
like, all right, these guys are kind of infringing. Like, I'm gonna show them who's boss.
I'll tell you, it was so stupid. So we'll call my girlfriend Sarah. You guys knew who she was. She went to Ohio State. I'd go visit her. So there was this bar or this sub place called PJ's down there. Everyone would congregate outside when they're like super hammered, all the college kids. And I went with her to get a sub one night, and it was packed. I mean, people inside, people were outflowing outside. I was like, I'm not going to walk in there to order. I was like, do you want to just go in there and order? She's like, yeah. So Sarah walks in there, and she orders, and as she's in there, I'm standing outside watching through the window, and there's these 3 dudes that are friends right next to me, and they don't realize I'm with her. And they were talking, so that 2 of the guys were saying to the one guy, hey, you should go hit on that girl. Like, she's really hot. And I'm sitting there just listening. I'm hammered. I'm always wanting to fight when I'm younger. And
when I'm
they're like,
younger.
yeah, you should go in there and hit on her. Go do it. And he's like, I don't want to do it. They talked him into it. So he started to walk inside and hit on her. I'm still sitting there with his 2 buddies right next to me. And I look at them and I'm like, hey, guys, like, that's my girlfriend. I was like, you should probably go tell your buddy not to hit on her. And they're like, we're not going to do that. Like, if you want to tell him not to go hit on her, like, you go do it yourself. And I was like, you might want to go get your buddy out of there. So I said, if you don't, I will. We're not going to get her. You go do it. And I forget how it happened, but it got to the point where I started to fight them. And essentially what happened...
The 2 on the...
All 3. So the one guy was walking back out, and I looked at him. I was like, hey, you were hitting on my girlfriend. He was like, what? What are you talking? Because he had no idea, obviously.
Right. And
so what I did is I pushed him, and there happened to be a chair right behind him. So I pushed the guy that was hitting on my girlfriend. He flips over the chair.
Well timed to push.
One of the other 2 guys of his friends behind me hopped on my back. I flipped him over my back. Listen, I don't know how this happened. I was hammered. It was like the Matrix. I flipped him over my back. He's on the ground. His other buddy's on the ground. Then the 3rd friend comes and tries to swing at me. I punch him, and they're all 3 on the ground. And listen. In the second,
honey, it's time to go home.
And listen, and Sarah is just sitting there bawling, because like there's guys fighting, and so it only took a second, but in that couple seconds while they're on the ground, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you did good so far, but you're about to get
up.
Right?
Get the hell out of here.
Yes, they're all going to get up. And I'm like, okay, it's time to get beating. So as they start to get up, listen to this shit. I hear out of like someone walking down the street outside of the crowd saying, Jarrad, is that you? And I'm like, what? I'm like, so I look around and guess who it is? We went to high school with them. It was that one fitness guy, Dave something. He was 1 or 2 grades below us. Josh. So like those group of like kids that graduated 1 or 2 years behind us. There were like 4 or 5 of them that just happened to come up to this PJ Subs place at the same time that they were all on the ground.
Glad you guys are here. I just beat these 3 guys up.
But they saw what was happening. They were like, what's going on? I was like, I'm fighting these guys. And then they all look at each other. They were like, I guess we're fighting. So they start to hop in. And and it was like a brawl of these 5 guys and these 3 guys on the ground and then me. But I ran away because Sarah started to run away crying. And I'm like, you can't just run around the city crying. So I actually chased after her while these 5 guys that we knew were fighting these 3 guys that I started to fight
You had
with.
a tag team.
It was the most random thing that
All
happened.
these years, I don't think I actually heard the details.
No, because
of
I
the
don't.
story.
No, because like you said, I was always going down to Columbus doing crazy shit, and I was like fighting people down there when none of you guys realize. I have so many other stories where I seeked people out down in Columbus and like
That was my fighting
and
grounds.
beat them up. But like one of our buddies, thank God he was at one spot because he stopped me from basically probably murdering this person. But yeah, that's a whole other story. So yeah,
Wait, so he stopped you from murdering somebody, but didn't you also try to fight that same person before?
which one? Say the name.
Matt.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yes, yeah. I mean, we were always friends, but yeah, he was hitting on my girlfriend too at the time, and I punched
That's a
Matt.
big no-no.
That's right. I forgot about that. But no, we're like super good friends now. Yeah, but there was that time where I was just psychopathic.
Well,
maybe
you get that, yeah.
maybe it's those girls. I think you gave her like a pseudo name for the purpose of this conversation and story. But we have another buddy who also lost his mind dating his sister or her sister.
You're saying that genetically they're making their men whom they're not dating.
You were crazy during that period, and then, yeah, they're like famous story. I never get over after they broke up when she was having a party. And he went into the house and went up into her bedroom uninvited and started taking all the stuffed animals he ever got her and walking downstairs in the middle of the party saying, I'm taking all the stuffed animals with me.
That'll show her.
But see, that's what happens, I don't know, when we're younger, because it's now I feel like I can suppress those anger things, but the problem is they can still come out, right? It's like what I felt today.
You feel it. You can recognize anger kind of bubble up. Mm-hmm. You know, I think in general, like you can start to recognize your emotion, and when you can start to see, okay, like I'm getting angry. Now you can kind of look at it from a third person kind of view instead of just being so in the moment and not in control of yourself. And that's just time and age and wisdom. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that we all have gotten significant. Like I did wacky things when I was young, very wacky things. And I think as you get older, you start to realize like you can take yourself and extricate yourself out of it and kind of think, okay, like what do I do here? And the reality is that old saying, like living well is the best revenge, truly is like the best way to approach every situation with someone else. Because you got to figure like the gentleman who ripped your 20, the stranger who
yelled at me,
yelled at you for your dog being nowhere near him, the guy who told me like to wear a mask. Like these people aren't well. They're really not.
They almost have nothing better to do with their
time.
Right.
They're not well. So to me, I'm always like, living well is the best revenge. It's truly the best way to consider that. Like, all right, man. Hey, good luck with life, and then just walk away.
But I think about how long this guy was stewing
on
the
for
fact
months.
That I was hiking with my dog without a leash.
Yeah.
I was living rent free in his head because he was allowing me to. If he would have just been like, actually, he's not really hurting anybody.
Dog seems nice.
Yeah, he's just far away.
I'm gonna go on my walk.
Yeah,
If you're that passionate about it,
He's
or
not
if it
well.
actually does make you uncomfortable, hey. Like,
hey man, I got a real phobia about
he stuck
dogs.
his stake in the ground. It took a long time. It was probably like this like huge day for him though. He probably went home like, finally told that motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I'm 100% going to see him again because I parked in the same spot. So does he, and he. If he wants to, he can get my license plate. It's like, what are you going to do? Tell on me?
Yeah.
You're going to tell on me so I can't come back to this park?
He's not
well. Guess what?
well.
I'm going to keep coming back to this park.
I mean, the person's miserable. Like, you can't be a happy, well-to-do person who's like normal and balanced and go yell at strangers about their dogs.
Yeah,
you just can't.
When it's not even involving you
like
in any way.
If you're, especially at that age, like if you're 70 years old and you're screaming at strangers, you probably didn't go that well for the first 70 years. You know, like you didn't adjust well. You had 70 years to fix this, and you're still doing it. Man, you needed to make that adjustment a long time ago.
Yeah, like there was the one time I was hiking at the park as well, and I was walking one way. There was an older gentleman walking the opposite direction, and he was hiking with a mask on. And obviously, I wasn't.
You can't be too safe, though. I think that's when you're outside and you're like within 400 feet of people.
But what I'm getting at is, like, that guy didn't yell at me because he obviously had a view that, hey, you should wear masks while you hike. And I wasn't.
That's his prerogative.
No, but what I'm saying is he didn't get, like, angry. So he might be thinking a little bit more level-headed. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not saying let's ignore the whole mask thing.
Yeah,
but
God
the
bless
fact
him.
that I wasn't wearing one and he was, he might have been like, okay, yeah.
I'm not going to yell at him.
Yes. Or I'm not going to yell at him and be like, you have a mask on, you're an idiot. Now, behind closed doors, I'm going to think in my head, oh, that's kind of stupid.
Yeah, that's very
kinda
stupid.
But I'm not going to say that to him and get outraged and be like, why don't you take your mask off? This is stupid. But
No, that's his prerogative.
But I did notice, like I
He
said,
was safe. You were the idiot.
Yeah.
I guess so.
I get the mask thing is an interesting topic though when you think about it because like there's so many things that people do every single day that are unhealthy, whether or not smoking cigarettes, whether or not it's eating ice cream and cake on stuff. We don't see people like freaking out like that is so bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're wearing your mask and you know that you're so protected or you're vaccinated, why do they freak out when other people don't do it? Do they do that when they see somebody smoking a cigarette because that's
No.
bad for them?
I think it's a whole.
And it's also secondhand smoke as well. Like actually something. What is with the?
It's their religion.
But how did this come about so quickly?
I think it's an us.
They don't have religion, and the human mind's always looking for it.
I think it's
and
an
they
us,
found
us
something.
versus them thing. I think is what
It's
it is.
that too.
People get drunk on this us versus them. It's just like you guys are Cleveland Browns fans, and some Cleveland Browns fans hate Steelers fans. Right. You know what I mean?
We have friends that have fought people for no good
yes,
reason.
our buddy D punched a Steelers fan in college because he was a Steelers fan.
Sports make people go crazy.
But so I think it's an us versus them. That has something to do with it.
Yeah, that definitely. But
where you draw the line with that one in particular, how they carved it out is like the say-all be-all of like this dividing factor. Because if it's actually health related, there'd be so many other things to freak out about. Mm-hmm. Like
it's not health related.
Secondhand smoke, like those sorts of things where it's like, oh my God, like there's infants around here. I don't care if you're outside, inside. But the whole mask thing is just mind-boggling.
It's become it's a practice. You know, it's a liturgical practice, no different than like going to church. Like it's like, hey, remember, you got to get your boost. You got to every time you're near someone 6 feet away. You know, it's this. It's doing this. Hey, we gotta wear a mask. We gotta wear a mask. N95s when we're on the plane. We need to make sure that when 6 feet distance, make sure that if anyone's coming by you, like their logical thought process is no different than a religious practice.
Was there like a void? Because I felt like
they
so
didn't
many people
have
gravitated.
religion.
Yeah,
they didn't have religion. A lot
like,
of, and I'm not saying that they needed to, but I think there's this human thing where you want to practice something, some sort of a routine, some sort of a religious exercise.
Yeah, it brought a lot of people together, I guess.
It did. I think I truly believe that it was religion for people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's particularly at this point, like this gentleman wearing a mask outside. Like, who are you doing this for? You're doing it no differently than a woman wearing a burqa in the Middle East. It's not functioning for anything. It's for you to feel like you're partaking in the practice of your religion. It's like wearing a cross. It's no different. It's the exact same thing. It's serving no functional purpose other than displaying to other people that you're part of this religion.
Or they really do think that they're keeping themselves safe because whatever they're watching or consuming is telling them that. Right?
I don't even know at this point.
But you get in these
at the beginning,
echo chambers, man. I'm telling you, where people just get brainwashed.
You're right. No,
you're
so
right. Many things.
You're right.
Yeah,
and those things are called religions typically.
Yeah.
And you know, that's okay. Like at the end of the day, like again, I'm not particularly bothered by it. Just don't come tell me to do something that makes no sense. Like if a Buddhist guy comes up to me and says I have to do his religious practice, I'm gonna be like, it's not for me, man. You know, it's okay, thank you. Same way if somebody comes and tells me that I have to wear a mask to go walk from the beginning of the restaurant to my table, thanks, no thank you. You know, like you guys can do that. That's certainly your prerogative, but I don't need to be involved. It's not my religious practice.
Yeah, and I definitely understand that kind of stuff when it initially happened because I was fearful. You know, when the C-19 stuff happened, I was like, what the heck's happened? Because nobody knows. But then it's like as time goes on, you learn more. I think that's where you have to be willing to change and be open-minded. It's like that butterfly thing I was talking about before, right? There's a caterpillar and a butterfly sitting at a table, and the one's like, you haven't changed. The caterpillar says to the butterfly, and the butterfly's like, or you've changed, and the butterfly's like, we're supposed to.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you got to be able to constantly evolve.
Yeah. I think that's reasonable with time, with knowledge, with everything. And if you don't, you're in big fat trouble. So
That is my one fear, is that I just try not to be closed-minded, because I'm like, I don't want to be that 65, 7-year-old guy that I saw today that's
yelling
like,
at
just
a guy.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
He has nothing better to do with his time.
I think at some point you look forward to that, being the old guy saying, "Get off my lawn."
Yeah, or just no. Well, maybe.
Yeah, but you know how much
maybe.
cooler it is when you meet one of those guys who has kind of just continued to gain wisdom over the years, because you'll meet those people and they're awesome. You'll meet that guy who's 75 who's just like,
I was just joking.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's
What's that Clint Eastwood movie where he was that closed-minded old that was like racist, but then like he comes around?
Gran Torino? Yeah.
yeah, that's a great movie.
It is a good movie.
Yeah, but
When I go out, I do want to have like this epiphany of just like, oh yeah, whatever.
you want to take a bunch of bullets for a young girl from the Hmong community?
Maybe not to that extent, but like he was his best self, like towards the end there.
Yeah, it's a blaze of glory, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing it. You know why? He was serving someone else.
Yeah.
I think there's
Made
a
you feel
beauty in the whole feeling and thought that, like, I just don't give a I just don't, you know what I mean? Like, okay, this guy's hiking with his
Live and let live
yes,
kind
just,
of thing.
I don't like. Okay, you're doing weird shit. As long as you're not hurting other people in a negative
and
way.
the other thing is, what if that guy just like, so what was his goal? His goal was to have you put the dog on the leash. What if he approached it just like a reasonable person and came up to you and said, "Hey man, I see you here all the time. I'm really, I didn't want to ask, but I'm really uncomfortable with your dog off the leash. At least when you see me, can you make sure the dog's on the leash?"
I would have been 100% chance
You'd
more
have been
receptive
like,
to.
"Oh, okay, I'm
yeah.
sorry, sir. Thank you." And then everybody wins.
Yes.
But now we're sitting here talking about the
Yeah.
psychopath. It's like this guy never had that moment of kind of an epiphany in his life where it's like, the way that I behave is not okay. And I always think about that. Like, should you have ran up to him and been like, "Hey, don't yell at me, you dipshit." Like, should you do that? Should you fix this guy? But then I'm like, you're not fixing this person.
No,
He's had
probably
70
not.
years. You're not fixing him
Yeah,
today.
probably not.
No, he might have had some reflection if that would have happened though. Like, that was weird. I was like this boiling pot for the last 7 months.
Yeah.
This guy not having his dog on a leash, and then I finally exploded today for no reason. That was really irrational. And then like next time I can maybe just like approach it this way.
Because I think approaching it is important, because it's like one of these things in Stoic philosophy. They say it's like, if you see a problem and you don't address it, then don't bitch about the problem. Like,
Right.
it's your fault. So
Right.
like, this guy made a good step of trying to address a problem that he saw.
He just did a really poor job of how he addressed it.
Yes, exactly. Right. 'Cause,
Right, that's
yeah, if
anything.
you don't, so, and I can see where he's coming from, because it is easy. It's easier to choose anger and outrage than it is to approach him like, "Hey, can you like just keep your dog on the leash?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Yeah, it'd be
not a
like
big
if
deal.
you had a drinking problem and you're like, "You know what? I need to stop drinking." And your solution was like, "I'm going to start heroin so I don't have the need to drink." You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you're solving one problem, but you're creating another.
Yes.
I'm not sure that's the right answer.
And this is what I think Thomas Sowell said. I think he was an economist or something like that. But he was like, there are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. Which as time goes on, and I think about a lot of things, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of true. There's no such thing as trade-offs, or there's no such thing as
Yeah, that's
solutions.
the no
only
free
trade-offs.
lunch in medicine.
It's
you
like
know?
if someone says, "I want to work out more." It's like, okay, well, how's your day currently filled up? Because you're going to have to trade off a portion of your day to add in
yeah.
working out, or that's just a simple example. So it's if you think about it, it's really with anything. There are only trade-offs, no solutions. And if you can't accept that, then you're going to live a terrible life.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah, I like that.
all right.
Thanks for checking out this podcast. Please make sure to hit that thumbs up button before you go. If you want to watch us continue the conversation, then click on this video to your left next.